If you're not signed in already, I think everybody is, but the password's over there, the student one, and so forth. You should have a bunch of icons on your screen, maybe not as much as me, maybe more. It's hard to say. But students have been using that. They save things to the desktop and so forth. These are all called icons. We got your desktop here. If you right-click in this area in here, where there isn't any icons, you see there's a view, and there's a large icons. So you can choose large icons. There's also your medium icons and your small icons. So I'm right-clicking on that, and I'm choosing view, and then I'm just moving over to the right and choosing whichever. Now, as I go through any of this, I can't, of course, can't see your computer. So if you have any trouble, holler at me, and I'll come look see what's going on.
Well, just to give you a heads up, I don't know squat about Windows 10. I've been on Windows 7.
Yeah, on Windows 7?
And I just had a brand new computer built up. I do video editing. So, my stuff is just getting old and out of date. So I just had to get a brand new computer and build it from the ground up. So it has Windows 10. And then we go with my Adobe Premiere. It'll be my editing system. But
the lucky part is
I
that
just got it, and I don't squat about 10. So if I go,
oh, that's fine. Okay. The lucky part of it is that Windows 10 is fairly close to Windows 7. Windows 8 kind of went way away, and they had a lot of complaints. Nobody knew how to use it, And my son has it on his computer at home, and I still don't quite know how to bring everything up and so forth. It's just not very easy to navigate. This is back to the point where we got our icons on our desktop, and the window's a little bit different popping up. But if I right-click under the view, there's also auto-arrange icons. I don't usually do that, but because I like to arrange them however I want. Line icons to grid, show desktop icons. You can sort them, sort by name, size, item type. Again, I don't see much use of that for here. And then refresh doesn't have a whole lot of purpose for what we're looking at. If there's going to be a change here and it isn't showing, you can do a refresh. That's what that is. At home, you probably don't have Intel graphic settings and NVIDIA control panel. Every computer will have a different option here depending upon your graphics card. So we won't even touch upon that because the odds of it being exactly what you have at home are non-existent. Now you see there's a new option here. If you want to create a new folder to save items on your desktop, then right here you can, over on the new, go to the right, and you see the folder there, and you can click folder. Now it pops up and there's a folder there. Mine says new folder 2, and you could give it a name. You could call it, it says it's going to download a bunch of MP3 files. I could call it music, for example, or whatever you want. A folder. If you think of a folder in a filing cabinet, folder contains pieces of information, right? A folder on your computer stores documents, might store sound files, might store anything. So again, it performs the same task. It organizes your data. Now, if you didn't get that name to what you want, at any point in time, for the ones that you create, you should be able to right-click on them, and there's a rename down at the bottom. So maybe I don't want that to be music. I want it to be documents. And you can then type documents and press enter, and that'll change its name. Sometimes I don't notice where it's at, and so I'm clicking around, and I click off of it, and it saves like that new folder, and that's where I had to right-click on it to rename. pretty much on anything on Windows, you can right-click on it, and it tries to bring up a context-sensitive menu to whatever you're working with. So if I right-click in this folder, there's an open, pin to quick access, open, well, these you won't have at home. Again, a lot of things here you won't have at home necessarily. There's a pin to start. There's a send to, cut, copy. Delete is the one I really want to talk about. If you don't want the folder, then you choose delete. You could also click on it and just press your delete button. Now you can put this folder anywhere if you don't have the auto arrange on. Even if you have the auto arrange on, it allows somewhat moving, but it automatically snaps it to places. So if I don't want this in the middle over here, I can move it over on this side. My original idea was to put all my data over here and my applications on this side. I haven't quite followed that because I see I got a new folder here. And I got these right here to move too. Now what I'm doing to move those, and you feel free to move whatever you see on the screen. I just click it one time and hold down. Don't double click it. If you double click it, it'll open it up. But click one time and hold down my left mouse button, and then you can drag it over to wherever you want. Yeah, the move is one you can choose. Now I created my new folder of documents. These are files from the class I'm teaching in development, and I could move these if I click this and drag it and put it on top of documents. Then it'll go in the documents folder. So if I click this, drag it, put in documents, click this, drag it, and put in documents. I got a real bad habit at home to saving things on my desktop so I can easily find it. And I'll have like 80 icons, it seems like, on the screen. And so every now and then I'll create folders and I just drag and drop them in those folders just so I can find stuff. So. Questions on that so far? Now if you right click, there's also, and this is probably not as useful, but under the new, there's different types of files you can create. And this will vary based upon what you have installed on your computer at home. If you don't have Word installed on your computer at home, you won't have Word there. If you don't have PowerPoint, you won't have PowerPoint, and so forth. There's a display settings. If I click display settings, to me this is quite useful information. My eyes are bad, and so I need it as bright as can be. I want it as bright as the sun. Sometimes I get on the computer where it's shaded like that, and that doesn't do me any good. That's why I don't like. Anytime I use a laptop, I always plug it in anyway, because I want it to be bright. And some of them have settings such that it'll become dim. So you can move that wherever you want. Change the size of the text, apps, and other items. If you get a new computer at home, they got this, I think it's called 4K. Now, I'm not great at hardware yet. I'm getting better. But it makes a lot of things really small. Have you got one of those kind of computers at home? No. Yeah. So what I've done is to get that high definition, it's dots per inch or DPI, DPMI, I forget what it's called exactly. To get that quality, I want this set up as high as possible for the resolution. But by doing that, some of my programs I can't even see. So I offset that by changing the size of the text to be larger. So these are just things you can play with, trying to get to see your screen the best. That's really their main purpose. And that's probably all exciting stuff on that. You see there's a porch landscape flipped. I got a feeling I'll know what that'll do. Hopefully it doesn't stick that way. Flips it upside down. It should change back here in 9 seconds, 8 seconds. I'm afraid I'll click the wrong thing and then I'll have to turn my laptop upside down to change it back.
You talk about the brightness of your screen. I had an issue. I have two screens. I have a huge main screen that I sit in front of, and then some of the windows when I'm doing my video editing, I can scoot those over to a second smaller monitor. And back in the day, that was a high definition monitor. Well, it's so much brighter than the old monitor I was using.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to, raise it up. It just wasn't working. So I ended up having to get a 4K monitor for my big one. And now it's so bright, it's just the opposite.
Just the opposite.
This one's too bright. Now this one's same way. I think
yeah.
My wife helped me. We kind of lowered that down.
Yeah, it's got some issues. I mean, it's nice quality, but I still haven't figured out some of my applications so I can even run them still. I got this Houdini package for animation on here. Assuming I can see it. There it is. And nice package and everything. No, that's how small it is.
Oh.
So I haven't been able to use it since I went to this. Yeah.
Well, I've got multiple displays. Older displays might not always connect automatically. So let detect to try to connect to them.
Oh, for years?
And that's why it says over here on this one.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of the 4K for me. Your standard applications works fantastic on it, but if you got something that isn't compatible, then... Oh, okay. Yeah. Mine didn't have that, did it?
Well, this is the school's computer, so.
Oh. Yeah, we don't have any wireless display, but that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my 4K, I have a lot of it. Like I opened Photoshop and imported some pictures, and I want to make some adjustments. So now I'm trying to adjust both of my screens. So, when I make a change, I want it to be accurate.
Right.
It's way too bright on this screen. Slide it over here, and it looks better. Mm-hmm. So then I'm kind of try to find a happy medium.
What do you do with what you create?
Well, just take for example what I'm working on now, or what I'm ready to work on, and the reason I even needed a new computer was a wedding that I filmed out in Colby. Some of the footage I have is 4K footage,
mm-hmm.
and 1080i, higher definition, and I tried to play it on my old Adobe system, and it would like digitize it. It wouldn't look like it couldn't accept the newer, higher definition formats. So that's why I had to go to this one. But then same way, if I'm taking still pictures and I'm filming, I'll import pictures in the course of showing a video clip of a wedding,
mm-hmm.
hit and miss. So sometimes those need adjusted.
I bet that's a challenge because I was a webmaster for 2.5 years, and I would design something that looked great on one browser, and then I'd put another browser that looked horrible, and then I suppose you have the same issues with the different displays. So I'm assuming you're making that for somebody,
yeah,
and you give it to them, and it's not compatible with their display. They're looking at it, it's like, this is horrible, but it looked fantastic on your equipment.
The whole aspect ratio, my monitor versus theirs, so it's a problem.
Yeah. I don't know what this says, but now that was under display settings, so you can cancel out of that if you were still in it, and go to personalize.
easy.
Yeah, I know.
Just turn them on and just ask the blue.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to change it, you can come over here and you can even do a slideshow. I have never done a slideshow. I always do a picture. But I'm assuming a slideshow, you pick multiple pictures. So for like this one here, I come down to browse. We haven't talked about folders and everything yet, but
I just always, when I find a picture, I just right click on it and say save as background. I haven't gone through this thing before.
Right. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures in a folder, so I'd have to do some changes for that to work. This is asking us to pick a folder where we have all our pictures. So like if you got 50 pictures, your children, grandchildren, or wife, or whatever, you point to that folder and it'll cycle through them.
I didn't know that would do that. You got brain babies, you can sure look at them.
You can.
Cool.
Or you can choose the picture here. You can choose some default ones that come up. Or you can choose browse. And hopefully there's nothing inappropriate on your computers. Those are all used by students. But it should bring up the pictures. And like I have a Pink Panther here, desert. So if I double click the desert, and you see that in the background there. Now there's choose a fit, and there's fill. And we haven't talked about this, but in the upper right hand corner, see how there's an X, and then there's this two rectangles there, and then there's this little dash. This little dash is minimize. So if you click that dash, it'll bring that down so I can see the screen to see what it's done. And that's what Phil did on mine. This is what I have used to have on my computer here. Actually, I had a fantastic picture of my brother and my son, but then I'd have to move the icons because I wanted to make sure it didn't block their faces and so forth. Now to bring that back up, you see down here in this bottom part, it looks like a little cog. If you click that, that'll bring that back up. There's fill, fit, stretch, tile. Tile is like where you have doesn't change the size of it. Maybe you have six of them on the screen, for example. You could center it. And when you do that, you see that it gives you a preview up here. Some of these I've never used. There's tile. I think I like fill the best. I'm going to go back to fill. Yeah. Now to close this window, once you get it to the point where you want it, up in the upper left-hand corner there's an X. So that X closes any window in Windows. Closes any application and so forth. I'm probably going to have to change that back because that the color scheme just doesn't work well with white and a blue background. I can hardly read those. But anyway, that's your background. This looks strange. Looks like there's a little something on the screen here. But it's off the picture, I'm assuming. Just never noticed that before. Now, if we want to run an application, this is the hardest part. People go to Windows 10, it's just like, where is everything located at? And some of it's just hard to find. You see down here in this bar where it says type here to search? That's the best place to find anything. So if you just click down there and you start typing what you want to find, like I start typing Word, then it'll find Word. So I can click Word. That'll bring that up. And click blank document if you selected Word.
I got Word 2016.
Yeah, go ahead and click that one. And then when it comes up, click the blank document icon.
Is 2016 same as Windows 10?
No, it's the version that goes along with Word itself, and it may be different based upon different computers that have all of Windows 10. Their new model is that they've gone to they want people to all sign up on Windows 365, and I think you get pushed out updates and so forth. So it's like their last version type of deal. Not really, but that's the way a lot of them are going. They want that kind of licensing. Now, some applications they don't even put on the menu here. Now I'm going to show you where the menu is at. You see this little Windows icon in the bottom left-hand corner? Mm-hmm. That's your Windows 10 icon. If you click that, you say start. Yeah.
That's the hardest thing for me to get used to. It doesn't say start anymore.
And it used to be, I think you had like different menu items there, and you clicked it, and then it popped up and next to it. Now it just pops up with an alphabetical list of your applications. You can use your mouse wheel to scroll down. And you can see the different items on here. You see how there's if you go down to the P's, there's a Paint 3D. So go ahead and click that. And that comes up. Go ahead and click the new. You might have to click start first, but no, I guess not. That brings up the paint. Now we'll bring up one more application. Down here and type here to search. Click down there and start typing Notepad. And once it comes up, you go ahead and click that desktop app. Now we have three applications loaded. So to go between them, down here you see Word, and there's the paint icon, and then there's the little notepad here. So to go between them, you click each one, and that'll flip back and forth between them. I've seen some people, I guess maybe it's just the way they learn, but they'll sit there and minimize everything to get to what they want. And there's a lot easier ways to go between them all than that. And there's some that I'm not even aware of. So I'll show you the ones I like, but there's other ones too. Now, if I hold down my Alt key and start pressing Tab, so I'm holding down my Alt, the ALT, next to your space bar, and I'm pressing my Tab. This allows you to cycle between the different windows you have open. And once you get to the one you want, you just let up on it, and that brings it up.
I didn't know that.
To me, this is the best way. There's other methods, like I said, but you hold down your Alt and you just keep pressing your Tab to cycle through. Today, I came in, my wife, spring break, and she said, "You need to go somewhere. Don't stay at home." So I came in. But I didn't have much. Yeah, I didn't have much work to do here, so I was doing some other stuff, and I was updating a class, an online class, and I had 6 sections I need to update on it, and I had all 6 of them open, and so I'd have to do that Alt Tab to go bring up the next one, so I could put the YouTube link on that one, put the YouTube link on this one, and so forth. So it came in handy.
So so if you open like Chrome, that comes up as well. So it's whatever you want. Okay,
Right.
got it. Yep. I have a whole bunch of them open all the time.
Now, sometimes you have a lot of windows open, and the Microsoft Windows operating system from way back when is supposed to handle allocating the processor time to everything. So it's not supposed to let one application hog the computer. Sometimes that doesn't work quite right, especially with Chrome. I love Chrome, but sometimes it goes off to Never Never Land, and your computer acts like it's locked up. If you do a Control-Alt-Delete, that'll bring up a menu. I held on my Control key, my Alt key, and then I did my Delete. So Control-Alt-Delete. Does everybody locate where all those are at? Okay. And you see there's a Task Manager here. I'm going to show you another way to get to the Task Manager. But if you click the Task Manager, this will tell you what in the world's going on with your computer. And instead of rebooting your computer whenever it's slow, you can come on here and see if there's something in particular that's kind of hanging up your computer. I use a Avast, A-V-A-S-T. It's a free malware virus checking software. It doesn't take up a lot of space. Let me write that down in case you're... It's pretty small. So I use Avast. It's free. You can buy a more robust version of it, but it checks for viruses and so forth. I don't have any. I've never. Of course, when I'm at home, all I'm doing is work. My son, he's all over the place. He's got to have so many viruses on his computer. I don't think Avast probably even helps him.
So doesn't it come with like Windows Defender already built in?
It does. That's a firewall.
Yeah.
And that provides pretty good protection. But I throw Avast on there too.
Okay.
My wife, she does her banking, and she had something weird pop up. She doesn't go all the weird places my son does, but she goes to Pinterest and a lot of other sites and Etsy. And so somewhere along the line, she even got a virus one time. Right. So see, we actually bought the more advanced version of Avast and put it on her computer, just so she could feel safer about it. But some of you may have Norton, McAfee. They're like a virus on older computers. They really are. They just consume so much memory. You can't do anything.
My son put McAfee on my machine. I'm getting ready to uninstall it because it drags that machine.
It does.
Down. It's terrible.
What's the use of being protected if you can't use your computer?
Exactly.
Norton's the same way, or used to be. I guess I shouldn't say because I haven't used Norton for probably 8 or 9 years. But Avast is pretty small. It doesn't take up a lot. But if you're sitting at home and you're wondering if it's what's taken up, and you go look and McAfee's up there at the top, that'll tell you. Now here, you see that my memory's at about 44%. If that was sitting there at 95%, that'd be a real issue. There's also CPU. You can click these up here. Like if I click memory, it'll put my biggest memory hogs up here.
Well, how did you get to that screen?
I did a Control-Alt-Delete.
Down here, Brad, it says more details. Yeah, mine was little too.
Oh, yours is little?
More details. There you go.
And just to interrupt you, somebody told me a long time ago that if you have two different antiviruses in your system, they just fight each other, and it does more harm than good.
I don't have that trouble with Defender and Avast. I've even, although I don't think I have it running all the time, but I have Malwarebytes too, because they all kind of serve a different purpose. And yeah, I've heard that myself. I expect it probably is true with McAfee and Norton. because they don't want anybody else to be involved.
I'm just gonna step out.
Okay. So once you get it up to here, again, you just click on whichever one, and it'll sort by that. So you can see the ones using the most memory, the most CPU, most disk, most network. So if I click CPU, you see that. Unfortunately, it keeps bouncing around, so sometimes it's kind of tricky to use. You can also click on a name to sort by the name. Now you see that I have two notepads here. So to delete one of them, delete as in get it out of the system so it's not running anymore. If you have it selected, if I click it one time, and then you right click on it, you see there's an end task. There's actually a lot you can do with it, but that end task will free up that memory. Let's say you can't bring down something normally. Have you ever had something get stuck and you try to close it and this wouldn't close? Well, this is a way you can come here and click end task, and it'll bring it down. It doesn't bring it down gracefully necessarily. So don't think, well, this will save my file for me. I don't know how many times I've been that way where I've made a lot of changes to a Word document or something, and I'll go to save it and then just hangs. And you're sitting, I've just spent an hour making changes and so forth. I think it was a Snagit video I was creating one day in class, and I've been going for an hour and a half of video recording. And I went to save the recording, and it crashed. It's just and there was nothing I could do to recover that video file, unfortunately. So it was lost. I told the students that some of them watch those YouTube video files. I said, I'm sorry, but we've lost one for this class. Don't think this is graceful. So you probably have the same thing with your video, don't you? Where if you can't terminate successfully, it will lose it.
Well, what I've run into, especially if it's like a big project, and I've got clip and kind of do this editing inch by inch,
Mm-hmm.
then it'll just crash on me.
Oh.
So I don't know if I overburden it or what the deal is.
It could be you have something else running on there that maybe is consuming. Chrome you wouldn't think would consume a lot, but Chrome is always up there at the top. So that's the first thing I always close down whenever I'm having memory issues, or maybe I'm doing something that I know is going to be intensive. I'll shut down all my Chromes.
Well, I think we can do with this class. One of my biggest, just make me want to punch a wall is I'd work on something maybe 2 hours, just inch by inch by inch,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would blink. You'd just lose it.
Mm.
And even though I've got like the auto save, the little gas
Right.
comes up saving project, it won't save it. I would lose everything I lost or started from the minute I turned that program on until it crashed on me. So you just sit there little by little by little by little, hour after hour, and bang, you just lose it.
Is that Adobe Premiere?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But again, that's on my old system, my new computer. I just got it. I haven't hardly turned it on, so.
And part of it may be you're low on disk space. If you're low on disk space, mm-hmm. it'll do strange things where it doesn't save. Your auto save, even though it says it's saving, it won't. Yeah.
What's that little symbol by Paint 3D, the green and with the something slash in there?
I don't know. I think it indicates they're all Windows related somehow. Mm-hmm. Every one of them that I looked at that has that on there, Windows Shell, that's a Windows program, video application, Skype, mm-hmm. Microsoft Edge. Yeah, those are all Windows. And it's interesting because if you look at Microsoft Edge here, I didn't even think I had Microsoft Edge running. So that's interesting. The background processes that it's running here, it keeps some things running just all the time because it has to maintain items on your operating system. Some of it's there just in case you're going to run something, it'll bring it up faster. So that's why it keeps these processes loaded. For example, it's Microsoft Edge is here, and I said that I'm not even running it. Well, it probably keeps a little bit of it running in memory, just so if I click Microsoft Edge, it'll come up fast. Now that's their big push on their browser, is that it's faster than Chrome. It doesn't use as much memory. So that's probably how the one way they get around it is they have a little bit there to give it that oomph, when you go into it.
Don't have background.
The what?
I don't have background.
Are you on the processes tab? Yeah, I don't see background either.
Oh, you don't have background?
Mm-mm. Background processes.
Hmm.
Mine's not a separate. I see services that run in the background.
That's interesting.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. You guys aren't set up. You're set up as standard users, and that could be the difference.
Yeah.
One thing you should always have on your computer, if you get a new computer, you should have a admin account, and you should have a standard account. So you create a new user. And the reason why is if you're surfing the internet like my wife, she's not on an admin account. So she goes to this place and it tries to run a program. It should, in theory, block most of those. My son's not on an admin account. He's on just a standard user I set up. And so that if he goes and tries to run, it goes to a site and tries to install something on the computer, in theory, it'll block most of that, in theory. If you're on admin, and I don't follow my own advice at home, I have one sign on from my computer, my main computer, and if I go to a site, that's why I don't just willy-nilly go anywhere. If I go to a site, it can install anything on that computer. Now, I say in theory because I don't think I've officially destroyed it completely, but when I was at the Mulvane Center between classes, I went to the student lab to get on the computer and screw off, basically. My idea of screwing off is I read news, I read history, and I went to National Geographic, so I like to read, about what's happening. And there's this article about how they're bringing ice from, icebergs to the Middle East so they can have fresh drinking water. So I thought, oh, that's pretty interesting. I clicked it, and there was some kind of Trojan on that page. It locked that computer down and locked it down good. And said, enter your credit card to unlock this computer. And I tried everything I knew to get past that. And finally, I just had to call IT and said, I screwed up your computer. So I wasn't doing anything work-related. I was just reading But, yeah, it's amazing what you can get infected by. And I was on a standard user. So that's why even that doesn't give you a total protection.
If you click on the users tab over there, what's yours say? Yeah, mine says the same thing. Yours says Cali instructor, mine says Cali student. That's probably
right.
why we don't see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and see, this has full admin rights, which I shouldn't be on. So I'm like I'm showing this all to my students, that I'm the worst abuser of that. So yeah, I guess you may not have all these rights, but you should still be able to kill your own processes, though. So if you got Notepad up and running, go ahead and right-click on it and say End Task, just to see how to kill an application. Now you see my Google Chrome. If I click the expand on mine, I'm not sure if you have expand on yours. It says I have 13. Don't know everything about Google Chrome, so I couldn't tell you why it has so many. But this helps explain why it's consuming so much memory here.
They're like pop-up windows, aren't they?
Yeah, like it doesn't free up this. It doesn't free up the memories of what I'm kind of thinking of, because while I was waiting for the workshop to start, I went out to Fox News, I went to CNN, went to Kansas.com, and who knows? I think I checked my email, but yeah. Now, in theory, when you bring down Google Chrome, like if you were to close these, again, I put my mouse down here in the Google Chrome, and you can click whichever one. You can actually even click the X right there to close it. Sometimes I'm successful with that. Sometimes it pops up and with a message and doesn't really tell me. But if I come here and I click close that, I come here and I close this, they all went away. And that's what you should see at home. So if you're trying to free up your memory and you do that and you still see Google Chrome there, then it's got some pieces of it still left out there, and that's where you right-click on them to exit out of them.
So you have the admin account and what other account?
It's a standard user account. I don't know if they gave me rights to set up a user here or not.
So what's I understand what the admin, but the standard user is what?
Where you don't have full rights, where they can't install. Let's see. I do it so seldom. Add, edit, remove other people. Let me try that one. Here it is. Now, you won't be able to do this because you're on just a standard account here.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did is I wasn't quite sure what to do, so I just started typing add, like user, and it popped up with add, edit, or remove other people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when they get here, you see family and other people. A lot of people are not part of your family, but it says add someone else to this PC. So if I click that, how will this person sign in? I'll put in my email account. Click next. And to log in the first time, this will have to be connected to the internet. Okay. Now, this right here now, if I click this, there's a change account type here. And this is where you can tell it a standard user or you can tell it administrator. By default, when you sign on your computer at home, you're as administrator, so you can install programs and so forth. If you want to be able to have a little bit safer feeling that you're going surfing and you're not going to, browsing the internet and you're not going to install something, then you can create a standard user account. And so anytime you're wanting to surf the web, browse the internet, you can go into the standard user. Now click OK. Now when I sign on, I'm assuming it have asked me for my password when I do this. I do this about once every 5 years. I think the last one I set up was for my son. It was probably about 5 years ago. So, okay. Besides that, some people can look at this performance here and tell items about it. I'm usually not very good about it. To me, it's kind of fun graphically to look at it. But the only one I really use is the processes here and looking at these. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. Now over here on our Windows, if I click my Windows button again, you'll see different items over here. The power is, of course, how you shut it on and off. I won't show that. The one right above it is settings. The one right above that is pictures, then documents, and then Kali instructor. If I go into the settings right here, okay, click the Windows button here and click the little cog.
That Windows button over there, yeah, the start button. Click it one more time. There, and then the little gear.
The little
Right
Right
cloud.
there, yeah.
This is where a lot of your information is on your Windows. You see there's a system here. If I click the system, this probably looks familiar. Because remember the brightness and color we looked at earlier? So this is where you can access everything. And even more than that, if you look over here on the side, you see how there's sound? It's on the left-hand side, hopefully. Do you see that? Okay. When you go to the sound here, you can set your volume. So you can change that. You can also change it down here in this bottom right-hand corner, which we'll look at. But sometimes in Windows, for whatever reason, I cannot access the speaker down here. I don't know why, but they've got it disabled down there. And so I have to come here to do it. You can also choose your output device here. So if you do the drop down, I got a total of 3. I think this Logi, yeah, it's is that speakerphone right there. I think this is the headphones I usually plug in. I'm guessing. And this is just, I think, the standard for the laptop.
Mine has just shown speaker HP Realtek high def.
Oh, so you have these
So
bottom?
probably that second one.
Oh, okay.
That's the default.
I never know which one. Sometimes when I'm doing a class and they're not hearing me quite right, then I come here and I adjust it to different ones. They can hear me now. And, yeah, they can hear me better. If you at home, you may have different output devices. I think I have a headset, I have a speaker, and I think I even have it so it comes through a TV. I have my computer hooked into a TV because my eyes are bad.
I do have a headset though for if I do things at webinars at home. I
Right.
want to talk to somebody. I don't want everybody in the house to hear it.
And usually the headset actually overrides everything else, which I'm glad of. Because I don't have to go in here and choose this each time.
Well, mine did. I didn't know if that was normal, but mine does when I put.
Yeah, mine does too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The other day I didn't have it plugged in. My TV started talking. It's like, it's not normal. Getting your input devices down here. You can change that to whatever. Notifications and actions. It pops up here, different items. We're not going to go through everything on this. We just wouldn't have time. So I'm going to show you where the notifications is at. But if you didn't want to receive notifications, you can shut them off here.
Okay, now I'm not seeing notifications. I'm sorry. Are you?
Do you not have notifications?
Oh, on the left.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
There's one here that's really, I think I finally got it shut off. Really annoying.
Uh-huh. Does it pop up over here from the right side?
It pops up.
Oh, yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, and I'll be in the middle of class and recording, and it won't even let me shut it down real easy. And it's a Lenovo one, so it could be this one here. And so that'd be where I'd click this to shut it off. Focus assist. I never really use these.
Okay, that's 2 things I learned. I need to turn that off as soon as I get home. That drives me crazy.
Oh, notifications.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now there might be other notifications, but that's a notifications through Windows. Power and sleep. If you go to that, see mine says never on any of these, because I hate my computer going to sleep on me. And so I always plug it in. I never use it as a true laptop. I'm always plugging it in. And so a lot of yours may be set up to like never, just because I was working on those computers. And yeah. So again, if you're trying to save battery power and you're trying to use a laptop like a laptop, you change these to whatever. You have to go sleep after so long. What I would be doing is I'd install software on your computers, and I'd go in my office, and I'd come back after 45 minutes, and the screen would be blank. It went to sleep, and sometimes I would kill the download, and I'd have to restart it. There's a battery, so you can see your battery life. Turn battery saver on automatically if my battery falls below 20%. I think it was, I don't know if it's Windows or the MacBooks that we had in here. But when you got really close down to the bottom, there's one of them where it just went down to 0 in no time flat.
It's those Mac things.
It could be. I forget which one it was, and it was just like, so the students, they learned pretty early on, if they got down there low, they get that plugged in fast, because they would lose their data. Again, before everybody arrived, I was plugging in, I don't think there's one of your laptops that isn't plugged in. So, storage here. This is kind of useful. You mentioned earlier that your old computer was having issues. If you see this up too high, that's bad, because it uses a lot of your disk space for kind of pseudo memory. You can think of it as that, so that it's swapping things in and out of that off the hard drive. So if you got this huge video you're working with, it can't load all that into the RAM in the registers and so forth. So it's putting pieces of it out there in that drive. And if you don't got room out in the drive, it'll corrupt it. It'll do weird things. It'll go really slow because it has to sit there and put a little piece here, take that little piece, and so forth. I create videos on here, and some of the videos are kind of huge. So I need to keep, when I would do this, I keep an eye on this, make sure it doesn't get up too high. These videos aren't ones I want to actually keep. I don't use Adobe Premiere. I use Camtasia. But I'm just too lazy, I guess, to go out there and delete them. But that's what that is. This also tells you your other drives and how much space is available. I think this was off of a digital camera I've left in there. Tablet mode, I don't know. I never used a tablet. Here's multitasking, the different options you can set on that. Virtual desktops, probably won't talk about in here. But that's if you want to create like a virtual desktop, you just do your browsing on. A virtual desktop, you just do your spreadsheets on. A virtual desktop, you just do your photo editing on. And so they're separate altogether. Projecting this PC, share experience, remote desktop, about. If you click the about, this is kind of important if you're getting a new computer and you're buying it used and you're not quite sure how much RAM is in it. You can come here and see that. You can also see some protection here. Looks like I don't have any account protection, probably because I'm signed on as a admin. Down here it tells me my processor. I got an i7. i7 is the one I would get if I was going to get a new computer. Somebody emailed me yesterday, should they get an i5 or i7 for their daughter for the going to school? And I said, get an i7. i5 would run okay, but she's going to computer science. Couldn't tell you about the gigahertz, but the i7 is the better one. Installed RAM. This is what makes your applications run fairly decent. So if you have a minimal amount here, if you bought one that has 4 gigabyte, your application is going to go very slow. I always tell people to buy as much RAM as they can. It's in my opinion, that's more important than the hard drive space. Because I'll plug in external drives to store off my files on. but the RAM is what has it go fast. Another thing that makes it go fast is something called an SSD drive. I've never got one of those yet, but my students say that your applications will load quite quickly with an SSD drive. It's a type of hard drive that brings up your applications quickly.
Yeah, that's what my new system has. Again, I barely turned it on, but it's got 2 solid state drives.
Oh, does it?
Is it external? They're external drives?
No, instead of like the way I understand it, which is 0, the regular hard drive has got a spinning wheel and moving parts. The solid state, you click on it and there's no moving parts.
But it's inside your computer, it's not sitting over the side.
Mine has 2 of them.
I don't know these things.
Yeah, I it's hard to. I mean, you really have to shop around because I bought a new computer just recently,
Wow.
and it did not have an
I
SSD.
didn't know that. I don't think mine
Yeah.
does.
And I need to eventually replace it. I think because I want an SSD drive in there. I don't know why. Just
Will it even help with the internet speed? I mean, will it help with the?
I don't know about that.
I'm running Chrome and I'm just surfing on Chrome. Will it help with that?
It should a limited amount because if it's interacting with the hard drive, like you said, if you're downloading a huge file, it's storing that on the hard drive, so it would definitely have the gain there. In terms of just your speed, in terms of accessing the internet, it should be very minimal on that,
So
if any.
If I take my computer, can I have an SSD drive installed in it?
You can.
You can? Okay.
Yeah. They'll transfer over your. It's just from our viewpoint, the user viewpoint, it's just like a hard drive.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Do your applications load real fast?
Well, I've barely turned it on, but one,
Mhm.
and I don't understand, you put 2 of those solid state drives in. One almost looks like a memory stick, like a RAM memory
Yeah.
stick, and then another one's just a little flat piece about the size of the palm of your hand. It's 500 gig.
Yeah, my students have just told me they're fantastic for speed,
Okay.
but that's a fight just waiting to happen with my wife. It's like, well, I need to get this SSD drive. Well, why? Well, I'm waiting 10 seconds for my application load now, and I'll be 1 second loaded.
Well, the build mine, the price had come down on those so much that it's only $20-$30 difference.
Yeah.
Right.
Like memory in the old days. Yeah.
I don't know why they don't make it default on computers. When you go down like Best Buy, that's where I always go. I shouldn't, but anyway, the installed RAM is important. To tell you if it's 64-bit operating system, that's kind of nice to know because when you go to install applications, they'll sometimes ask you if it's 32-bit or 64-bit what your operating system is. And I'm hoping that they design all of those install packages such that it checks before it starts installing it. But if you try to install a 64-bit on a 32-bit, it may do weird things, may not even work at all. So I might save you some headaches there.
Something I installed recently asked me and I didn't know.
Right.
Oh, QuickBooks. I had to install a new QuickBooks on a computer. Just a standalone QuickBooks. It wasn't the web. And it asked me if it was 64 or 32. But it checked for me when I said.
Oh, good.
It checked for me to see, and it said compatible with this. So.
Yeah, because when I've been asked that, it's just like, I'm not sure myself, and I'd have to go look.
I didn't know where to go to check, so thank you.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know.
Let's see, Windows specifications, probably nothing real exciting there. If you need your serial number, I guess this is where you could go look it up. And that's all on the system there. Now, up here in the upper left-hand corner, it says Settings, and there's an arrow going back. So if I do that, that goes back to here.
Oh.
And if you close that by accident, you just go back down to your Windows button down here, your Start, and click your cog again. Here's where you got your devices. And here's my Bluetooth and other devices. Printers and scanners. So I come here, and let's say I printed something to this printer, and I'm trying to see what's going on with it. This is where I can access my printers. I get lazy sometimes and don't come here, and so I'll print something again, and then I'll come down here before it disappears, and I'll look for the printer icon and access it that way. But then sometimes it disappears, and you don't see that printer icon down there. So if you come here, then if I click that, and you probably don't have that, but you see there's an open queue, there's a manage,
Yeah.
And so I can come up here and delete something. So it'll clean it out from the printer over there. Sometimes I wonder about myself on computers. I was sitting in my office, had my laptop in there, and I printed something from it. And I'm thinking it's going to come out here. And I wasn't hearing anything. And I thought, well, this is great. Why isn't it printing? You know, I print once every 3 months, and the one time I want to print, it won't print. And, well, that's not a wireless printer. So I came out from my class about an hour and a half later, plugged it in. When I got over to here, start printing. Just like, I didn't have time to review it, but this is where I would have reviewed it. It would have told me probably that it couldn't connect to the printer. So it would have gave me some kind of message here. So that's kind of useful if you're trying to get to your printer.
Can I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
Does the Microsoft print to PDF, is that on all Windows 10? I've really never noticed that. So I could really do a document and seriously print it to a PDF
Yes.
right there without,
As far as I know,
I'll look.
every
I just
computer
never
here,
noticed.
yeah. Because I used to install this thing called Qt PDF. And I haven't installed it.
When you do a document, you can save it as a PDF, but
Right. No, I used to install this because it would use that as a printer driver. And so whenever I wanted anything printed to PDF, I'd just print my Qt PDF, and it would save it in PDF. But since they put this on here, it seems to work just fine.
Okay,
So
great.
there's also a manage here, where you can come and do these different items here, and I'm not going to go through those. That's really beyond what I want to show. If I go up here to settings, if I get and do that arrow to go back to here. And if I do the arrow again, it would go back. But I want to show you the mouse first. If you went back too far, just click the devices again.
Then
And the mouse. You see the different options you have here. Select your primary button. My son is left-handed, so I don't know if that would affect how he would use a mouse. I never have asked him if he wanted me to switch it, but you can change your primary button, to the left or right or whatever. When you use your mouse wheel and you're using it to scroll, like in a web page or Word, you can choose this to have it scroll one screen at a time instead of multiple lines. So sometimes I'll do that. I'll be doing it with the mouse wheel, and I'll be doing it over and over instead of doing the quick on the side. It's like, what are you doing? You're taking forever to go through there. It says choose how many lines to scroll each time. So if you change this scrolls 3 lines. I can have it scroll 100 lines.
Oh.
So again, very fast way to go through huge amounts of documents. And scroll inactive windows when I hover over them. I don't think I've ever really noticed that. Over here on the side, you see there's related settings and it says additional mouse options. If I click that, you might not have all of these same options on here, but you should have the same idea on it. Mine is under ThinkPad currently, and it says enable track point. Maybe I'd want to disable that. So shut that off. Touchpad. I wonder if there's a way you can shut off touchpad. I don't know about that. Somebody comes for one of the workshops, and she comes fairly often. and she rests her hand on that touchpad each time and really messes it up all the time. So if you find yourself trying to use a laptop and that's doing that to you, then you come here and you can configure this so it won't mess you up. I'm assuming under either the settings here or advanced settings, I can shut it off. Hardware, probably not very useful. The wheel. Again, here, roll the wheel one notch to scroll. That talks about that. You can change it here. Horizontal scrolling. Tilt the wheel to scroll to the... How do you tilt the wheel?
So if you just turn the mouse, tilt the wheel?
I've never done that. Interesting.
Oh, you can.
Let's see. My dog is an Australian Shepherd. She is at home. Forgive my bad spelling. Okay, so I'm right here. Tilt the wheel to scroll. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't know what that is. Pointer options. Select a pointer speed. Sometimes when things start going so fast, I can't find my mouse. So this is in here. When you start changing all these options, that's where you can slow things down or speed them up. I've been on computers before where I'm trying to go from this side of the screen over to the other side of the screen, and it's just going as slow as can be. Again, you can speed these up or slow them down. You can display pointer trails, hide the pointer while typing, show location of pointer when I press the control key. So if I have that selected, then if I hold down my control key and let up on it, see how it's got that circle? So that'd be useful. I guess a lot of people lose their mouse like me. And they said, where in the world is it? And here's some different options you can choose. Normal select, help select, work in the background. Once you get here, you can choose the browse.
Can you turn off that busy wheel? I hate to see that thing. No, I'm teasing.
Well, you might be able to.
It's that 1 second.
If you click a browse and there's like a blank one here. Like instead of that, if you want it to be red, but yeah, if there's a blank one here, you could definitely probably set it to blank. The browse button down here, after you choose which one you want to change.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like if you don't want this one here, you can do the browse. And you can have it be any of these. I have to play with that because a lot of times people can't see my mouse during these, but I don't see any color ones. And buttons here. Again, different options you can choose. And I'll go ahead and click OK. Now mine didn't come back up as I started going to Word and so forth. But if you minimize something, if you did bring it up, you can come back to here. And there's a touchpad. I guess if you want to shut the touchpad off, I guess that's a pretty easy way to shut it off. And there's typing here. Did somebody leave their coat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. If you want autocorrect misspelled words, you can turn that on. If you just want to highlight them, text suggestions. So this is where you can set all that up. To me, this probably doesn't really benefit me a whole lot. I don't notice, I have it on, but I don't notice it correcting anything except for in Word. Like when I'm in a browser, maybe it corrects it and I don't notice it.
It did.
Did it?
It corrects in Facebook, I know.
Oh, it does? Okay.
You misspelled Australia and it corrected. But they didn't do with the shared.
Oh. Yeah, see, I don't think it does it everywhere, though.
No.
Australian Shepherd. What? Yeah. So it just appears to be in some applications. I use a package, I think it's great, called Grammarly. Use Grammarly. Yeah, that's probably the best thing for Google Chrome. I don't pay for it. It's free. It's easy to set up. It makes me seem a lot more intelligent than I am. Yeah, and it sends you emails too. I guess at some point in time, I must put my email in it. Send me how many mistakes I'd made and how many it corrected for me, and it's like, oh man, that's. First, I felt pretty good, but it told me how many words I typed the entire month. But then it put down like I had 95 corrections. I can't seem to remember put a comma after an and or but or.
I like for it to correct my grammar because my fingers fly. So because I actually learned how to type back in the day.
Oh, right.
Instead of doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some favorite mistakes that I make. Them I'll type a lot of times instead of the. Or, and it'll correct those for me. It'll find them anyway and tell me that, oops, this isn't proper grammar.
Yeah, whatever tools I can use anymore to help me on that, I love. I don't know, it's Google Mail now. It anticipates what you're trying to type. And it's actually getting pretty good. It knows what I'd put, and I always do a tab and fills it in. Yeah, it's like pretty soon I won't even have to start typing an email and it fills it all in. It's like, sounds good. But this is where you can set all of those if you want to change those. Pen and Windows Ink probably don't have. Maybe. Some of this may be specific because I turned it on from my tablet. I don't know if you have that or not.
Yeah.
Do you? Okay. Autoplay. This is where if you load something up, do you want it to automatically start? Removable drive. You see it's on for all media and devices. You can have it ask you or take no action, so forth. Probably doesn't have a whole lot of meaning for most people, but you heard about Iran with their nuclear difficulties they had, right? You know, they had a nuclear processing center and so forth where they're enriching uranium and all this and that. And somebody hacked into them, and it threw off their settings such that when the machines, when they ran, it was destroying the machines. They claim it was us or Israel. Could be. I'm not sure if that's something I would even deny. It's just like, if you're clever enough to do something like that, then fantastic. But they think it was because somebody took a flash drive and took it in and plugged it into a computer there. And by plugging it in, it automatically ran something. So if you were going to be working with a bunch of flash drives from students or so forth, maybe you want to shut that off so it wouldn't automatically run when you plugged it in. So. Notify me of other issues connecting to USB devices. I need to pay attention to this. I have a flash drive that fails a lot of times when I try to plug it in at home, and I get tired of it telling me it can't, set it up. So, okay, I'll go back. Here's your phone. You could link it to your Android, iPhone. I never have done that, so I couldn't even tell you about that. Somebody did it by accident in one of my classes. They somehow added their phone, and it caused them some headaches. Here's network and internet. This is more like if you're having troubles. Cox or whoever your network might be through will tell you to come here, and they'll say, what do you see exactly? And so not really something we'll look at. Yeah. You'd think so. There is a Wi-Fi settings here. That might be useful. Though I'll show you in a different location. You see where it says show available networks. If I click that, these are what's available. And the same principle holds true on any device you have, a smartphone, a laptop, a tablet, or whatever. And if you see that one says open, then typically that means it doesn't have a password. Not always true. Some of them that say open, you have to actually go to a screen to accept their, whatever they have. The ones that say secured will ask you for a password. So if I wanted to connect to Cali Guest, then I'd click this Cali Guest and click connect. So that'd make it pretty easy to connect. And you could have it connect automatically. So click that, and I click connect. And this says connected. It also says connected to my tigers.cali.edu. That's because I'm connected to my network cable. The network cable takes precedence over the Wi-Fi. So I don't have to worry about, well, I got both of them connected. Which one's they using? It uses the fastest one in theory.
What's that? Ethernet?
Where?
Right underneath Wi-Fi.
Oh, Ethernet.
Ethernet. All right.
That's when you got your
That's when you're plugged in. With this
right.
one of these.
Yeah, this cable here. So it looks like that. So that's when you connect it with one of those.
Okay.
And that's actually typically the fastest connection you have. Wi-Fi is slow in comparison to that. The wired connection doesn't have any of the difficulties to go with the Wi-Fi. We have one room where I had the hardest time getting Wi-Fi to work at home. And I think it's because there's a refrigerator between where our connection came in and that laptop. Either that or microwave. But the microwave isn't running all the time. But there's some kind of electrical interference that was causing that room not to get to Wi-Fi. I finally got tired. I got tired of hearing my family complain about computer issues. I teach computers all day long. I come home and it's going slow. Well, just be patient. It's like, no, you don't understand. It's going slow. And so I went down to Best Buy and I said, I want the best wireless router there is. And they showed me one for, I think it was $220. And I said, that's the one I want. And I said, well, that's usually for gaming. Are you going to do any gaming? No, I'm not going to do any gaming, but I want the fastest one you have because I don't want to hear. They have not complained since I got that. It's just like it must be super fast for them.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to do that because I am the world's worst complainer. If it doesn't just pop when I want it to, and I know it's just because of that cheap and stupid router I have.
Yeah.
I know that's what it is. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I do like, I shouldn't be impatient with them because I have mine plugged in with the wire, so I don't use the Wi-Fi at all because I like fast. I don't like to wait. Even when we hooked up my mother-in-law's Ring video, I went down, bought that $220 one, and even though that's for gaming and you don't need it for a Ring video, I thought I don't want to hear it. I want it to work.
It's worth it, worth it to get that high router.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Done.
I'm gonna go back to settings here. Personalization, we saw a little bit of that with the background, but if I click that, there's more in the background here. There's also colors. So over here on the far left, you can choose the colors here. Transparency effects, start taskbar in action, title bars, so forth. The lock screen. You can have it lock after a certain time. I don't have mine locked at all at home. Themes. So you can choose different themes they have set up for you. You see there's even sounds. Windows default. Windows background. All these you can change. So if you wanted to have it play something else, you could click Browse. And over here, if you do the drop down, the only thing this supports is Wave. So a little bit limited there. But there's sites out there where you can get free Wave files. So you could modify that. Critical battery alarm. Device connect. I don't know why anybody would ever change those, but it's there if you want it. Fonts.
I didn't know where you went to add a font if you wanted to add a font. Cool.
Yeah, you can
Somebody asked me recently and I really didn't know how.
You can click the Get More Fonts in the Microsoft Store. Used to be you could install it even if it wasn't on the Microsoft Store. I don't know if that feature is still there or not. Unless it's no.
Cool. Okay.
Kind of looks like they took it away. Maybe it's just the Microsoft Store.
So you can't add a font in there?
Doesn't look like it.
Like the old one, you used to just drag it in there and
right.
drop it in it, drag and drop.
And then it had a certain extension on the end to indicate true type.
Yep.
TTF? True
So.
type font? Yeah, and then there was like a FOT or I don't remember.
Well, there's hundreds of fonts. But
yeah.
Here, right here for me. I don't know why you would want
anything else, yeah. But then again, if you're doing like graphic design type work, if you're doing video work and you want that perfect font to really stand out, and then maybe you would want to install your own.
You're doing some Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah, Mandarin Chinese. There's a start option here. Again, different items you can set on that start. I never have changed any of those. Taskbar. This taskbar down here, so you could have some different items on it. Use small taskbar buttons. If you're going to have a lot of buttons down here, maybe you want them small. I like the taskbar because it's easy to find. The things I'm going to run, I have them all down here. Unfortunately, I have them so many of them down here sometimes that I have like 2 rows of them. So then I have to go down to see what I have down on the second row. And I'm going to show you how to put something on the taskbar just because I find it very useful. But these are different options you can do on that. Okay, let me go back to settings. I won't go through everything there, as I think you're kind of see where all that's located at if you want to access it. So I'm going to click the X in the upper right hand corner. And I want to search for something. Excel. I use Excel quite often, but it isn't in my list down here. And I like things to come up fast. If I type Excel, You see how it has Excel 2016 here? If I right-click it, there's a pin to taskbar. And that'll put my icon down here. So no longer will I have to search for Excel. Anytime I want to run Excel, I just click this. Like I say, I do this so much, though, at home. I got like 8 or 9 items down there, so that when I got new windows opening up that I'm running applications, it becomes like 2 rows. And it's a little bit of a headache, but I want them available, easy to find. Now, you're not locked into that. If you put it down here and you don't want it down here, if you right-click on it, the icon, there's an unpin from taskbar. So you can take it off of that.
So you can uninstall from here too? I don't want to do anything, but like if I wanted to uninstall McAfee, I can do it from here? I see on the right click it says uninstall.
Did it? Let me see. I don't know.
Go type in Excel and then right click on Excel. Oh.
Uninstall. Yeah, I guess so. They made that a lot easier.
Yeah, then I have to go through all those apps. Yeah.
Yeah. You can also pin it to your start. So if you want it to be on your start, you could do that. I never really see the need for that. If I'm going to go to the start, I might as well just type it in and find it that way. But again,
so it'll pop up on the right side when you hit start? Is that what that means?
If I pin to start,
yeah,
and then I run this, then you'll see it over here. See how I got Excel 2016 here?
Got it. Yeah.
Like this Dragon Mania Legends, that came default on these laptops. See how I can right click on it and unpin from start? And that'll be gone because I never have even run those. Well, I thought it was. Yeah, maybe not. I didn't think it'd even appear on here. I thought I unpinned Dragon Mania Legends. But interesting. Okay. This down here, sometimes I'm working with an application that the bottom bar is blocking what I'm trying to work with. You can right click on this and there's taskbar settings. You see the automatically hide the taskbar in desktop mode? The second one?
Yeah.
If I click that is on, my taskbar disappears. So now, if I want it to appear, I just put my mouse down at the bottom of the screen. And let me get out of that. And it pops up. Take my mouse off it hides. So if you like the extra screen space, then that's where you get that shut off. And I don't know why it is, but some Windows applications are just not designed properly, and it'll hide like the bottom. Have you ever seen that? And you're trying to click that button, and it drives you crazy because you're trying to move the screen up, but you can't because it's already full screen. And
so run that by me again. You're on your taskbar, and you can right-click on it.
Yeah, you right-click on the blank area over your taskbar, and choose Taskbar Settings, the very bottom one. And then the second one where it says automatically hide taskbar in desktop mode, you want to turn that on if you want to hide it. I usually leave mine. I don't want it to auto hide because then I'm moving my mouse down there by accident and all of a sudden it pops up and I don't like things popping up on me. But that feature is there. Now you see there's a lock the taskbar here. Right. Yeah, that right there. If I uncheck that, you can move your taskbar to the side. So you can move to the right if you want. You can grab it and move it to the top, to the left, to the bottom. I think you can even have it floating. I'm not sure how you get to floating.
No, that's just wrong. Taskbar needs to be at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, mine's not working.
Let's see. Put it back down here. On your taskbar settings.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Down here. Lock the taskbar has to be unchecked.
It's unchecked.
Oh, is it?
Well,
Okay.
then you have to drag the taskbar, right?
Right. You take your left mouse button and you click in the blank area in the taskbar and you move your mouse to the right side.
Oh.
And you'll see it move up there.
Okay.
No, it's just wrong.
It is. But if you like the screen real estate down at the bottom where you need it for an application, maybe throwing it over the side where you don't need that entire width is preferable. And I'm like you. I can't have it up there.
That would drive me crazy. All those icons over there.
Now, the reason why they have the lock there is so you don't move it by accident. So I'm going to lock mine again so I don't move it.
And I have moved it by accident on machines. And I didn't know how to drag it back down. But
Right.
didn't know figure how to lock it. Thank you.
Now, I had a student show this to me last semester. It's one of the best things that I've one of two best things that I've seen is if I got this here, I can resize this. So I can click this restore down here, like that, and then I can move it, resize it, and how I'm resizing this is I'm putting my mouse to the side of it and it becomes a double arrow with arrows on each side, or a line with double arrows. I click and hold down, and I can change the size of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ever get that?
Mm-hmm. I've been using that for the last 6 months.
Yeah. And that's the way I was doing it in class. And I'm sitting here in class. I'm taking a lot of effort to make it just right because I'm trying to get it perfect and so forth. And they said, there's an easier way, don't you? And I said, no, what is it? And they said that if you have this right here and you hold down your Windows button, the Windows button is that little flag, and do your left arrow key, it'll move it to the left side. If I have this, you can do that and do your Windows and go to the right.
Look at that.
Oh,
Like if I have these two here,
no.
and let me move that a little bit like this, and I want this to take up the exact right side.
Mm-hmm.
I hold down that little Windows button. The Windows I'm talking about is between the Control and Alt, and I hold that down and I press my right arrow key.
All right.
Did that work?
I don't know.
Yeah, they were laughing at me because I'm doing it the hard way. It's just like, why are you spending so much time trying to get that?
You can always learn from them.
Yeah, you hold down this, and then do your left mouse button, or left mouse button. Sorry, arrow key. Then if you click this, then that'll take up the right. So you can evenly split it up on your screen.
Oh.
You get yours.
If you hold the corner right here, you can move the whole thing. You don't have to move
So
the
it's
side.
Windows Alt, right?
The what?
Windows Alt.
The Windows here,
Yeah.
and then you do your left or your right.
Oh. Arrow.
Arrow.
Windows. Arrow.
And it even does more. I was playing with it earlier today. And, but yeah, that's
Very cool.
I should have gave her an A for showing that to me.
I can use that.
Sometimes it does weird things if you have like three or four windows there. It just doesn't seem to work as slick as I think. I don't know when they added that in.
Because you really have 4 different applications.
Yeah. Yeah, see, if I have this one selected, if I hold down that Windows, do my left, like goes in the middle. Do my left again, it goes over here. Do my right, it goes in the middle. And right again goes over there. So, but the resizing is really nice on that. That's on page 2 of that sheet I gave you. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the top. The Windows plus the left arrow docks the active window to the left half of the monitor. I guess up does a maximize the active window vertically and horizontally. I'm not quite sure what that means, and this just means maximize it.
Oh, yes it does maximize it. Yes, it certainly does.
Interesting. Now this is one thing I found really nice, because I teach some applications where and I discovered this earlier today, so I don't got it mastered yet, but I teach some applications where it's kind of hard to see, and I can increase the font size on some of this, but some of this is just so small where they just can't see everything, especially like up here on this sheet on page 2. It says to zoom in, you do the Windows and then a plus sign. And zoom out is a Windows and a minus sign. So if I hold down that Windows and I do the plus.
You have to do the shift or
Nope.
use the plus on the.
I did the plus above the equals.
That's really big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to show something to somebody, then that makes it, or even if you're trying to see yourself.
Oh. Then your minus above that will put it back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it puts it back like that. That's the magnifier tool it's using to do that. I don't know if you do 2 pluses, if it'd make it even bigger. Let me see.
It does. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
See, that's going to be handy for me, especially if like I wanted to show that Houdini package that I can't see it all. That would allow me to bring that up. I've tried to use a magnifier before, and it just was very clunky for me to try to use. So that could be a better tool. Some of these I wasn't quite sure the purpose of them. I'm sure somebody could really benefit from them. You know, there's one that, and I discovered this semester that I think is fantastic. Just because it's so easy. If I'm trying to capture an image, like if I have something on my screen here I'm trying to capture, if you hold down your Windows button, Shift, S as in select. So I held down my Windows, held down the Shift, and I did S. Then it kind of grays out your screen. If I then, with my left mouse button, click and hold down and drag, it'll draw a rectangle, and whatever I drew the rectangle around is now on my clipboard, which means I can paste it wherever I want.
So that's like a snippet tool.
It's like a snippet tool.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Did you get that?
No.
Let me see.
Snippet, I use it all the time. But I always search for snippet. I haven't.
Yeah. Of course, this you got to remember. I'm getting to the point where I about got to memorize, but so if you hold down your Windows, then hold down your Shift, and then press S.
Oh.
There you go. And now with your left mouse button, you'll click somewhere and you'll drag, and it'll draw a rectangle.
Oh, yeah.
And then whatever you drew the rectangle around is now on your what's called a clipboard.
Windows, Shift, and
Right.
Windows.
Okay, now that's beyond awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I discovered that this semester. And granted, you can do it with a snippet tool.
Sure.
Okay.
But then, like you say, you have to fumble around with it. If you
Yeah.
could just remember that key sequence. Now, if I went over to Word now,
Mhm.
and I click paste,
Yep.
it'll paste in your image you just did. That is on your sheet. No, I lied to you. I don't think this was on the sheet. Yeah, I was surprised it wasn't on the sheet. But now there is something on your sheet that's I'm not sure how beneficial it would be, but I can see where I'd really use it at times. It's on page 2, and it's about this far down. It's the Windows print screen. It says take a picture of the screen and place it in Computers, Pictures, Screenshots folder. So, for example, go to your Chrome and go to some website. I'll go to Cali. And I'm oftentimes doing little demos for people, trying to create like steps for them to do. So to capture this screen and save it as an image, it tells me I just have to press my Windows and print screen. So if I do hold down my Windows and I press my print screen, which is there. That's on you see where your space bar is? Two to the right.
Oh, there.
Oh.
It says PRTSCR.
Okay, got it.
It may do a little flicker. It doesn't appear like it did anything. But you see this folder down here? Right click on that folder and choose Pictures.
There it is.
Yep. There's a folder now called Screenshots. And if you go there, there's your image.
Wow.
So this will allow you, if you're going through 10 web pages and you want to capture each one of those 10, you can very quickly capture each one of those 10 without doing the snippet tool, without doing that Windows Shift S. You can just capture it that way. I think that was brand new. I didn't know that. It may have been there for quite a while, but I learned that today. Like I say, I learn each time I do one of these, I learn new stuff about Windows myself. Now, let's say I want to capture my desktop. Whatever I see on my desktop, I want to capture to the clipboard. In this case, you just press your print screen. So if you press your print screen alone, this does not save it as a file. This puts it on the clipboard.
Okay.
So if I go over to Word and I paste it, I'll see my desktop. So again, print screen will save whatever you see on your desktop. It'll save it to the clipboard, which then you can paste it into a paint package or whatever. Sometimes I have it my window small like this, and if I do a print screen, it'll capture everything. If I just wanted to capture this one window right here, I hold down my Alt key and I press the print screen. Now Alt print screen, all it captures is that current window. So if I go and paste that, it just does that. But sometimes you just don't want that entire item, especially on my computer on my desk. I have what you have, the 2 monitors, and when I press the print screen, it captures both monitors. And so it's just like it's so big that what it tries to capture, and when I shrink it down, and you have to go into a paint package, and so that alt print screen is what allows that. Now, if I right-click the little folder down here, and I go into Pictures again. By the way, you should be able to just click that and go into it, but it hangs up on a good percentage of the laptops for some reason. It's how they got that configured. I never have figured it out. So if you're at home, all you have to do is click those folders. Yeah. You don't have to right-click on it, but you do here. Mine works, but nobody else's. I haven't figured that one out yet. Now this right here presents all your different images you might have. Might present Word documents, might be WAV files, might be whatever. Over here on the left-hand side, you'll see folders. And so, for example, if you wanted to go to your music folder, you just click that. I don't have any music. If you want to go to your downloads, you go here. Downloads is handy. Anytime you download anything from the internet, if you're like me, you don't like to sit there and watch it download for 20 minutes, so you'll click it and you'll go wander off, and then you come back and the little buttons disappeared down at the bottom. And maybe you're wondering, well, where in the world did my download go to? It went right here. Well, how can I find my most recent download? You see across the top, it says File, Home, Share, and View. If I click View, yours may or may not look like mine originally. It depends on whoever had your computer last. But you see here in the layout, there's details, medium icons, content, list, large icons, extra large icons, small icons, and tiles. So the extra large icons and large icons is kind of nice. You can get kind of a preview of what it is. But the details is what I want to look at. So if you click the details, you see how there's a date modified at the top, hopefully. Some people's computers have that gone because people have configured it. But if you have the date modified, if you click that, it'll sort it by the date. I use this all the time because I'm not very good about organizing my files. I like put them all in one folder type of deal. Don't ask me why. And so if I'm trying to find what was I doing yesterday, this allows me to sort by that, and I can quickly find it. I guess the last time I downloaded anything was this Introduction to Computer Forensics syllabus. I guess I did download this zip file here. Did everybody get to sort? To copy something to a different folder. And you can, anything to download, if you want to copy it to the documents, that's fine. But you right-click on whatever file you want, and it doesn't matter what you right-click on yours. And you choose copy. There's something called a clipboard, such that when you copy, it copies it to the clipboard. It might be an image, might be a picture, might be a file, might be anything. But if you choose copy, now if you click your documents folder, and then you right-click over here in the white space, and you choose paste. That'll copy that file to that folder. There's lots of different ways you can do that. You can drag and drop. You can cut it. So but that's just one method of doing that. Up here, you see there's a file name extensions. That's under the view. And mine is showing file name extensions. And from my viewpoint, this is shut off for every computer to begin with. I think you should always have it turned on, so you can see exactly what type of file it is that you're working with. So if you click that and turn on file name extensions, now if you go back to downloads, you'll see the extensions on the end of them. An exe, if you've downloaded an exe from the internet, that could be a virus. Now you can also see it over here where it says application. So it's kind of a double check on that. But some people have that shut off. It used to be that you would rename something like this, and you'd rename it as .jpeg.exe, like that right there. And then if the person got it, and they had the file name extension shut off, it looked like a JPEG file to them. So they say, oh, well, this is just an image file, and they'd double click it. When really it was a executable. So I don't know why Windows doesn't have this turned on automatically, but that would show you these cases where they tried to hide what the file was and make you click on it.
Well, and for people like me that I might have an Excel file and a Word file that's the same name.
Exactly.
I've done that before, so it's really helped me to have that on, because then I'm like, wait, I need the Excel file, not the Word. I do that all the time. I name things the same thing. It'll be some report I'm going to do, and
yeah, and I'll have even the Word documents named the same thing.
Yeah, right.
And one will be a DOC and one will be a DOCX.
Yes, yes.
And it's just like, I don't know why I named them the same, but and that's why I use the date quite a bit on date modified.
Yeah, you don't see to have these things on. Always has. I didn't even know you could turn them off. But...
Yeah, I don't. It's because by default, if you get a new computer anymore, they have the file name extension shut off. They want to make it so user-friendly you don't have to worry about what type of file it is. Well, in this day and age, you got to worry about if you're running an exe, an application.
And that's under view, right?
That's under the view.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now, you can also sort by size. So if I click size, I see in my downloads, I got some huge files here. So if you do start running out of space, this allows you to really focus on the ones you need to delete. So like these two here, I'm going to delete them. I don't know what they are. Pretty much anything in my download I'm not keeping anyway. Mm-hmm. Now how you can delete something is I held down this, and then I clicked this, and I held down my shift key, and then I'm clicking down to here. When you hold down the shift key and click down there, it'll select everything in between. And so now if I press my delete, it'll get rid of those three. If you want to select items that are not next to each other, if you click this and hold down your control key, then I selected all of these. And now if I do my delete key, it'll get rid of them. If you hold down your shift delete, it'll delete them permanently. Right now it's in waiting to be recycled. And I'm not sure what the time frame is on when it clears that out. But if you need that space right away, shift delete is what you do to get that space right away. Sometimes I'll do this on email, because you'll be using an email package. One of the colleges I've taught for, they give you no space at all. It's just like horrible. Somebody will email out an 8 meg attachment, and all of a sudden I'm up at 95%. And I'll sort it by size. You have to be careful. Sorting by size seems like a nice feature, but then every email that comes in is sorted by size, and I forgot to turn that back on. So all these emails I'm receiving are down here. and then I hear, well, why haven't you responded? And it's like, I didn't get your emails because I had it sorted by size still. And it's just like, so it's fine here. It doesn't hurt anything here, but you want to be real careful about that sorting by size in applications. Well, we've gone through 2 hours pretty fast. That's real. Is there anything in particular you want to know about? Well, I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and record or stop the recording here, and I'll upload this to the Facebook page, so you can